What's this?
What's this?
Another new review.
It's true.
I made it just for you.
I'm sorry I'm tone deaf, but I must sing because it's actually come true.
What is this? Well, that's a silly question, but I'll tell you anyway. Cue the title. Jack Skellington is the head honcho in Halloween Town, yet he wants more out of life than just scaring people every year. So one day, while walking through the woods, he happens upon a door which leads him to Christmas Town. Intrigued by this new holiday setting, he attempts to replicate it based on his own warped interpretations. I have to say, despite being a relatively simple story, this was very creative for its time and very original. Even more creative was the art style and animation, which was done entirely in stop motion. Also, despite having a somewhat dark premise and an almost gothic setting, the characters come off as somewhat charismatic and likable as they distinguish themselves from one another, and the art style definitely lends itself to their characteristics and charm. Just look at this case. That's what Jack looks like. Like something a child drew, right? But it's got so much charm to it, and he is a great character. And an excellent singer. For those of you who are unaware, this is in fact a musical. The team behind this actually built out the entire story around the songs, because they play a big part in telling the story. Kudos must also go to Danny Elfman for his magnificent work as a composer. Each song works to distinguish itself from the others, and none of them really feel out of place or unnecessary. They all work together so well, and they mesh with the scenes. They just blend seamlessly into the song, so they don't really feel abrupt or random. From a storytelling perspective, that is very important. In the intro there, I actually parodied what is perhaps my favorite song of the film, When Jack First Discovers Christmas Town. But don't let that make you think that the other 10 songs don't deserve just as much credit. Key among these are the intro to Halloween Town, Making Christmas, Kidnap the Sandy Claus, yes, they actually call him Sandy Claus, and Oogie Boogie. That last one being sung by a character who is supposedly supposed to be the film's main villain. He's basically the boogeyman, who is a pretentious, narcissistic bag of bugs. While he's certainly obnoxiously evil, I have to say, for someone who's supposed to be the villain of a film, he actually doesn't get very much screen time. Apart from a couple of instances where he's just speaking where you see his silhouette, he doesn't actually appear until the last third of the film. Personally, I feel that that just makes his scenes all the more memorable. And that's something that can also be chalked up to the film's animation and art design, which is again, fabulous. Another unique aspect is that all the effects for ghosts flying around, fire, and electricity are superimposed in 2D over the 3D environments. While this is a bit cartoony, it gets me wondering how they managed to even do this. Keep in mind that this was released back in 1993. Unfortunately, for as much praise as I've been giving this film, it is not without its flaws. One of which being the question that if Jack was able to find the door to Christmas Town just by walking through the woods, which apparently weren't too far off from Halloween Town, why wasn't anyone else ever able to find that door? Was Jack really the first one to find it, despite Halloween Town probably being around as long as the day itself? And if someone else did find it, why didn't they ever tell anyone about it? Were they afraid they wouldn't believe them? Were they just afraid to go in the door and check it out? Not to mention the fact that there are doors for the other holidays as well. Other problems I might find with the film would mostly be nitpicks, like Jack being able to perform all these facial expressions despite him being a skeleton, in which case a skull, that can't really do too much in terms of expression. I mean, his face can flexibly change shape and emotion, and he's very extreme in those emotions as well. He even has eyelids. But I understand that this was a stylistic decision on the part of the filmmakers, as it would have been very difficult to convey emotion if Jack's face worked like a regular skull. I mean, one could question how Jack is able to see without eyes, or how he's able to move without any muscles or nerves. Fun fact, if one's nerve endings are severed, the only impulse they have to go by are their emotions. That could explain why Jack is so extreme in all of his emotions. After all, I don't see how a skeleton would be able to feel physical pain. Another thing is there's this ragdoll character named Sally. She's apparently made up of sewn together body parts stuffed with leaves. Okay, but where are the bones? Doesn't she need those to move? You can't just move with leaves inside of you. Perhaps the filmmakers meant for this to be symbolic, as she and Jack basically complete each other, and Jack being a skeleton, well, he's all bones. Regardless, I feel that the film's positive aspects seriously outweigh the negatives. Though at only 1 hour and 16 minutes, it is a bit short. But perhaps this is for the best, as the story was relatively thin, and this keeps it from getting tedious and old. You'd be surprised how much they can pack into that runtime. So all things considered, I think Tim Burton should take great pride in coming up with this piece of work. Please note, Burton didn't direct this. Henry Selick was the director. Tim Burton just came up with a story and produced it. Also, keep in mind that this film is rated PG, as some content may be a bit frightening for younger viewers. Even so, I feel that it's still great fun for people of many ages at both Christmas and Halloween time. So with that, I have to give this film an 8.5 out of 10. Awesome. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to get to bed, as it's now Christmas morning. Will Santa come, or will it be Jack? You decide. Away!